It happened over dinner. Roasted chicken, laughter, candlelight, and then my sister stood up and screamed, "She stole my necklace!" She pointed straight at me. The room went silent. My mother gasped. My father stood up, looked at me like I was filth, and said just 4 words, "Get out, right now." No questions. No defense. Just betrayal, served before dessert. I packed my bags that night, while they argued about the shame I brought. My sister watched from the hallway, smug and silent. I didn't cry, not in front of them. It's been 5 years. They never found the necklace until last week. It had slipped under the cabinet during dinner, and a plumber found it while replacing the pipes. Now they want to talk. They want me back. But I've built a new life since that night, and I'm not sure they deserve to be in it. I think the truth is, my sister never really liked me. Not in the deep, unshakable way sisters are supposed to. She tolerated me, maybe, smiled when she needed to, but under the surface, there was always something simmering, a quiet rivalry I never asked for. Leighton was the golden child. She was polished, graceful, always one step ahead. In every family photo, she's the one with the perfect smile, the perfect posture, the perfect grades. And me? I was the smudge in the corner, the background character in her spotlight. My parents didn't mean to choose favorites. At least, I hope they didn't. But they did. They clapped louder at her recitals. They framed her awards but stuffed mine in drawers. At dinner, they'd ask Leighton about her debate wins, her friends, her future. They never asked me what I dreamed about. Maybe they didn't think I had dreams. Still, I tried. I offered to help her with math. She rolled her eyes. I baked her cupcakes on her birthday. She tossed them. She wasn't cruel in the obvious ways. No slaps, no name-calling. She just made me feel small. Like I didn't belong. When I got into art school, my dad said, "That's cute." When Leighton got an internship at a local law office, they threw a dinner party. Even my grandparents noticed. Grandpa once pulled me aside and said, "You've got fire, Brielle. Don't let them dim it." I never forgot that. It was one of the only moments in my life when I felt seen, not compared. Leighton hated that I was close to Grandpa. When he started gifting me little things, an old sketchbook, a pendant from Grandma, her smile turned tighter. She once told me, "He's only doing that because he pities you." I didn't answer. I never did. I thought silence meant peace. I was wrong. Because the necklace she accused me of stealing? It was Grandma's. The one Grandpa gave me privately, the year before he passed. It had sentimental value, but she wanted it, and when she couldn't have it, she made sure I paid. Looking back now, I wonder if the dinner that night was just the final act in a script she'd been writing for years. And everyone else? They were more than willing to play their parts. It was a Friday night. Mom had planned a family dinner, one of those semi-formal ones where she pulled out the cloth napkins and the company-only ceramic plates. Leighton had just come home from grad school for spring break, and they wanted to celebrate her latest scholarship. I wasn't in the mood, but I came anyway. You show up, you smile, you keep the peace. That had always been my quiet job. The house was full uncles, aunts, family friends, even my cousin Jace who never came to anything. I brought wine, helped set the table, even complimented Leighton's outfit. She smirked like I was beneath her, but I didn't care. I just wanted to eat and leave. Dinner started well enough. Laughter, clinking glasses, a toast from Dad about Leighton's brilliance and drive. I tuned it out and focused on my mashed potatoes. And then it happened. Right after dessert was served, I remember because I hadn't touched my slice of pecan pie yet, Leighton gasped and clutched her neck. "My necklace," she cried. "It's gone." Everyone turned toward her in alarm. It was a thin gold chain, with a ruby pendant, Grandma's necklace. The one Grandpa gave me. The one Leighton claimed was hers, even though I'd had it for over a year. "I took it off and left it on the side table in the hallway before dinner," she said breathlessly. "Now it's gone." My stomach dropped. I knew what was coming before she even looked at me. Her eyes scanned the table and landed on me like a sniper's scope. Brielle was the only one upstairs, she said. I froze. Someone laughed nervously. But Leighton wasn't smiling. She's always been jealous. Ever since Grandpa gave that necklace to me. He gave it to me, I cut in quietly. She ignored me. She probably wanted to pawn it or something. You know how she's been struggling. The room went silent. It was Mom who spoke next. Brielle, did you take it? I stared at her. She looked genuinely torn, but also ready to believe the worst. No, I said. Absolutely not. My father stood. Empty your bag. What? Now. I looked around the table. Dozens of familiar eyes on me, some sympathetic, most just stunned. I pulled my bag onto the table, unzipped it, turned it upside down. Phone, wallet, lip balm, keys, no necklace. But it didn't matter. The silence had already chosen sides. Even if you hid it somewhere, Leighton said, you know what you did. I stood up. You're lying, and you know it. My dad's face turned cold. Leave. I blinked. Excuse me? Get out of this house. You can't be serious. Take your things and go. Tonight. My mother looked down at her plate. She didn't stop him. No one did. So I walked out. No coat. No goodbye. Just the necklace-shaped hole they left in my chest. The night I left, I had nowhere to go. No plan, no backup, no one waiting outside in a warm car. Just me, my over-the-shoulder bag, and the sharp sting of betrayal pulsing through my chest like a second heartbeat. I stayed at a cheap motel on the edge of town for the first 2 nights. Rooms smelled like bleach and mildew, but at least no one accused me of theft. Then I called my friend Zoe. We hadn't talked in months, but she picked up on the first ring. I'll be there in 10, she said. That's how my real life began. Not with a promotion or a diploma, but with a friend handing me a blanket and saying, stay as long as you need. Her couch became my safe zone. Her cat, Muffin, curled at my feet every night like a quiet reassurance that someone still saw me as human. My parents? They never called. Not once. Not even to ask if I was okay. They deleted my existence like you'd wipe dust off a bookshelf. 5 years of birthdays, holidays, family gatherings all went on without me. I saw the photos on Facebook, Leighton grinning in every frame, my seat always filled by someone else. They moved on like I had died. I bounced between gigs, dog walking, temp jobs, even spent a summer cleaning rental homes. I didn't complain. I couldn't. There was no one to listen. Eventually, I found my footing in design. Interior styling started as a hobby I posted online, but then people started asking if I took clients. I said yes, even when I didn't know what I was doing. Turns out, desperation is a good motivator. I built a portfolio, rented a tiny studio, started doing digital consultations. Slowly, piece by piece, I stitched together a career from scratch with no help, no safety net, and certainly no apologies. But no matter how far I got, that night at the dinner table stayed with me. Not because of the accusation, but because of the ease with which they let me go. The way silence filled the room after I was told to leave. Like they'd been waiting for an excuse. I used to replay that scene over and over in my mind, trying to spot the moment I should have shouted louder, cried harder, begged more. But as time passed, I realized something that changed everything. I didn't fail them. They failed me. They failed to protect me, to believe me, to see me. And once you know that truth, there's no going back. Healing didn't happen all at once. There was no magical day when I woke up and stopped feeling like the discarded daughter. But somewhere between painting cheap IKEA shelves and watching YouTube videos on color theory at 2 a.m., I started to feel something again worth. It began with a single project. A small-town bakery wanted to refresh their look. Zoe referred me. I was terrified. I had 0 credentials, just mood boards and intuition. But I said yes. I spent 2 weeks in that place scrubbing grout, rearranging shelves, hand-painting a mural of lavender and honey jars across the back wall. The owner cried when she saw it. "I didn't think anyone could see what I saw in my head," she whispered. That moment changed everything. Suddenly, I wasn't just surviving, I was creating. One job led to another. Then came a website. Then a local article. Then, a message from a boutique hotel asking if I'd be willing to consult. The answer was yes. Always yes. Because while my family had erased me, the world was beginning to write me back in under my own name, on my own terms. I moved out of Zoe's apartment after 10 months, rented a one-bedroom loft above a florist shop. The ceiling leaked during heavy rains, but the light was good for plants, and the rent was just within reach. I made it my sanctuary. Soft linen curtains, muted earth tones, a corkboard filled with fabric swatches, client notes, and a tiny photo of me and Grandpa sitting on the porch with matching lemonade glasses. The only thing from my old life that I kept. I didn't speak of my family often. New friends knew there was a wound, but not the depth. I simply said, "We're not close," and left it there. No one pushed. Maybe they saw the way my voice clipped short when the topic came up. Still, the pain lingered in quiet ways. When a client thanked their parents in front of me, when a wedding invitation came addressed only to Miss Brielle Carson, no +1, no family. And especially during holidays, that's when I ached the most. For the smell of my mother's stuffing, for Dad's bad jokes, even for Leighton's fake laugh that somehow always managed to fill the room. But instead of drowning in it, I gave those emotions somewhere to live. I poured them into projects, into colors, into softness, into light. That's how I survived. That's how I rebuilt. And though I was still alone, I was no longer invisible. They may have kicked me out of their home, but I had created a world of my own. And for the first time in my life, I felt like I belonged inside it. It was a Tuesday when the past came crashing through my inbox. Subject line: "We need to talk urgent." Sender: Mom. I stared at it for a full minute before opening it. We hadn't spoken in 5 years. No birthdays, no apologies, not even a lazy forwarded meme. The email was short. Just one line. "We found the necklace. Please call us. Mom." I read it again, and again. The necklace? That necklace? The one that shattered my life and turned me into a ghost in my own bloodline? I didn't call. At first, I laughed a dry, bitter sound that startled even me. Then I cried. Not because I missed them, but because something inside me, something I thought was long buried, cracked open. The next day, my phone rang. Dad. I let it go to voicemail. Later, I pressed play. His voice sounded older, slower. "Brielle." It was behind the cabinet. "The plumber found it wedged in the back corner when we remodeled the hallway. We were wrong. Please, can we talk?" Wrong? They were devastatingly wrong. I didn't respond right away. I went for a walk instead around the lake where I used to sketch on weekends. The air was cold, but it helped me think. 5 years. 5 birthdays. 5 Christmases. Gone. I had built a business. Survived loneliness. Gone to therapy. Held myself upright through every storm. And now, just like that, they wanted to talk? They didn't say, "Sorry." Not in the email, not in the voicemail. Just, wrong. Like it was a typo in an old recipe, not a gaping wound across my history. Still, curiosity grew like a weed I couldn't pluck out. What did they really want? Did they feel shame? Guilt? Or did they just want their happy family illusion back? That night, I drafted a reply. Deleted it. Wrote another. Deleted that too. On the 3rd try, I hit send. "I heard your message. I need time to think." That was all I could offer. And honestly, even that felt like more than they deserved. We agreed to meet at my parents' house, I don't know why I said yes. Maybe I wanted to see if their eyes still held the same coldness. Maybe I wanted to hear the word, sorry, spoken out loud. Not typed, not implied, but delivered. The porch looked smaller than I remembered. The same wind chime hung near the door, crooked and rusted now. I stood there for a moment, hand hovering over the doorbell, before I finally pressed it. The door opened too quickly. It was Mom. She looked aged. Her hair was mostly gray, her eyes watery. "Hi, sweetheart," she whispered. I didn't say it back. Inside, everything smelled like lemon cleaner and anxious energy. Dad sat stiffly on the living room couch, hands folded like he was waiting for a court verdict. Leighton stood by the fireplace, arms crossed, avoiding my eyes like the floor might open and swallow her. We sat around the old dining table, the same one where they'd kicked me out. The same damn chair. No one spoke for a long time. It was Dad who broke the silence. "We owe you an apology, Brielle." I said nothing. He continued. "We found the necklace. Behind the hallway cabinet. It must have slipped off when Leighton placed it there that night." I raised an eyebrow. "That night? You mean the night you threw me out like trash?" He flinched. Mom reached for my hand. I moved it. "You didn't ask. You didn't hesitate. You just believed her." Leighton's arms dropped. Truly thought you took it," she said, voice trembling. "I was so sure. I don't even know why. You wanted it," I snapped. "You always wanted what wasn't yours, and when you couldn't have it, you made sure no one else could either." Tears brimmed in her eyes. "I was angry. Grandpa always gave you more. He talked to you differently. I felt invisible." I stared at her, stunned by the hypocrisy. "Invisible?" I repeated. "You were the golden child. I was the girl who didn't exist unless you needed someone to compare yourself to." Dad sighed. "We made mistakes." "No," I said. "You made a decision. A violent one. You chose to believe the worst of me without evidence. And now you want forgiveness wrapped in coffee and cleaned floors?" Mom wiped her face. "We miss you." "I miss who I thought you were," I replied. "But I don't know if I miss this." They apologized again. They begged for a second chance. They told me they kept my room the same, that they thought of me every holiday, that it was pride and shame that kept them quiet for so long. And maybe that was all true. But truth doesn't undo impact. I stood up. "I didn't come here to hug and forget. I came here to say that I'm not the girl you threw out. That version of me died the night you let her go." I walked toward the door. "I'm not saying I'll never forgive you," I added. "But if I do, it won't be for your peace. It'll be for mine." Outside, the air was sharper, colder. But it felt like freedom. The drive back from my parents' house was silent. No music, no podcast, just the hum of the road and the weight of everything I didn't say, still sitting on my chest. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I didn't feel triumphant either. What I felt was hollow. Like I had opened a box I'd buried years ago, only to find nothing inside except dust and silence. That night, I sat in my studio apartment, the same space I had built with my bare hands, and lit the lavender candle Zoe had given me on my birthday. Then I pulled out my journal. The one my therapist said I should use when the feelings got tangled. And I wrote. They said sorry, but I don't know if I believe them. Maybe they're sorry because it's convenient now, or because the evidence showed up. But where was that sorrow when I was sleeping on a stranger's couch? When I missed Christmas alone in a laundromat? It felt good to write it, to not sugarcoat it for their comfort. The next day, I had therapy. I told my therapist everything. The way the table felt like a stage. The way Leighton looked when she said she was jealous. The way Mom tried to hold my hand like no time had passed. And how I didn't feel like hugging anyone. Not out of hatred, but because my arms finally felt full. Of me. She nodded, patient as always. You don't owe them closure, she said. You owe yourself protection. Those words stuck. So I made a list. Boundaries. Weekly check-ins by text only. No surprise visits. No invitations to family events, not yet. Leighton is not to contact me directly until I say otherwise. Forgiveness is not a deadline. It's a maybe. And it's mine to decide. When I sent it to my parents, my mother replied within minutes. We understand. We'll respect whatever space you need. Just thank you for giving us even this much. And that? That was enough. For now. I kept working. Took on 2 new clients. Turned one of my favorite color palettes, storm blue and burnished gold, into a signature line for my brand. I stopped flinching when I saw Mom pop up on my phone. I even answered one Sunday afternoon. We talked about her garden, not the past, just tomatoes and weather. Leighton hasn't reached out. She sent one email after the dinner, long, emotional, filled with memories from childhood and things like, I thought I hated you, but I was really hating myself. I didn't reply. Not because I was angry, but because I wasn't ready to carry her guilt on top of my healing. Some days, I still ache. Not for them. For the version of me that never got to feel chosen. The daughter who only existed through comparison. The girl who was good but not enough. But those are just days. Not my life. My life is textured now, layered. A mosaic of grief, growth, and grace. And maybe, just maybe, I'm finally beginning to like the shape of it. Spring arrived quietly. The trees outside my window started budding with soft greens, and sunlight poured through the blinds like an unspoken apology from the universe. It had been 2 months since that dinner. The night where truths were finally spoken, but not all forgiven. And I was still here, standing, building, breathing. I moved into a new apartment last week. Not because I had to, but because I wanted a space that didn't hold echoes of the past. It has high ceilings, warm oak floors, and a tiny reading nook where I keep my sketchbooks and tea. It's mine. Every inch of it is mine. Mom sends me texts now and then. Updates about her garden. Old family recipes she thinks I might want. Sometimes I answer. Sometimes I don't. Dad emailed me last Sunday. Just a link to an article about a design firm expanding to the next state. No message. Just the link. I smiled anyway. It reminded me of the newspaper clippings he used to leave at my door in high school. And Leighton? Still silent. Still a ghost. And maybe that's okay. Maybe some gaps aren't meant to be bridged. Maybe some silences deserve to stay. I don't know what the future holds for us. For them. For me. But what I do know is this. I'm no longer defined by what they did to me. I'm not the girl who was kicked out. Not the sister who was erased. Not the daughter who never got chosen. I'm Brielle Carson. A woman who stood back up. Who built something out of splinters. Who learned to say no. Who learned that healing doesn't come with fanfare, it comes with quiet decisions, repeated daily, until they bloom. Forgiveness? Maybe. In time. But not because they need it. Because I do. And even if that day never comes, I'll still be okay. Because what I lost in that house, I found in myself. And that's a kind of home no one can ever take away again.